Today we're going to talk about phonemic awareness. We know that reading is a continuously developing ability that emerges from a child's experience with language and print. New experiences, vocabulary, and constant interaction with print enhance reading ability throughout the individual's lifetime. Understanding how print works, that printed words represent spoken words, is the foundation upon which reading and writing is built. Many children come to kindergarten with this knowledge, but some students do not, and this lack of understanding can greatly hinder the process of reading comprehension. One of the easiest ways to teach basic concepts about print is by sharing interesting books with children. Shared reading is similar to reading out loud, except that in shared reading, students see the text as the teacher reads aloud to them. They are invited to read along and focus on the enjoyment of the story. Big books are excellent for this purpose, as they are usually repetitive and predictable, which helps kids read along easily. Some of the concepts that can be taught through literature are the following. The first is that print carries a message. Words, not pictures, are read. Show students this by tracking print with hands or fingers as you read the words from a story to the children. When reading predictable or other children's books, say, "Point to where it said," or "Where does it say monkey?" or "Here's a word that starts like Tasha's name." Number 2 is that print conventions and the concept of a word can also be taught. Students need to know the difference between words and non-words or pictures. They should recognize that print contains letters and that print is print, no matter what form it takes, upper or lower case, different fonts or colors, etc. They also need to recognize that words are separated by spaces in writing. Since we tend to run words together as we speak, this is often hard for children to comprehend. For example, we might say, "How you doing?" or "What'd you get me?" or "Come here." Students need to know that these phrases are made up of more than one individual word. Number 3, help children recognize that print tracks from left to right and top to bottom and from front to back. Show this by modeling and tracking print with your hand or finger as you read. Number 4, show children that sentences begin with capital letters and end with periods, question marks, or exclamation points. Also, that a book has a title, an author, and sometimes an illustrator. Number 5, students must also arrive at an understanding of the alphabetic principle. Understanding this principle teaches that words are composed of letters, and those letters represent sounds. Naming and quickly recognizing letters is a critical step to learning to read. Read good alphabet books to children and have them make alphabet books on their own, either drawing pictures that go with each letter or cutting them from magazines. The rate of development of all these concepts varies. Some children will be able to read words or even sentences when they enter kindergarten, but most will still be developing these emergent literacy skills. All students in kindergarten and first grade will benefit from activities that will help them understand how print works. As I said earlier, phonemic awareness is an essential skill in learning to read and needs to be taught in kindergarten and first grade. It is the understanding that speech is made up of a series of individual sounds or phonemes. It's the ability to hear the individual sounds in words and then to orally manipulate those sounds. Remember, phonemic awareness does not involve the actual reading of words and is primarily taught through oral wordplay. The goal is to enable children to hear and isolate the sounds that make up words. Sorting activities are an excellent way to help students gain a working knowledge of how words work. I'd like to give you a few examples of sorting activities, and I know you can think of others that might work with your class. I usually do this by giving students flashcards with words written on them. These words are short and long words, single and multisyllabic. Now, I don't expect the students to read the words. We're just looking at the specific letters in the words. I write the numbers 1 through 10 low on the chalkboard and with about a foot in between each number. Then I ask children who have a word with only one letter to come up and stand under the number 1 on the chalkboard. The children who have a or I go up to the front. Children who have two letters in their word, like as, to, an, if, in, etc., go up and stand under the two. This continues until everyone has gone up to the front. You can vary this by having the children count their letters and independently find the correct numbers. I often extend this activity by sorting for specific letters. For example, using the same word cards, ask students who have an A in their word to stand up. Do the same for other letters in the alphabet. Then, using a common letter like T, you can do the following. Ask students, who has a word that has a T as the first letter? If they have it, they stand up. Who has a word that has a T as the last letter? Who has a word that has a T somewhere else in the word? Who has a word that has two T's? Who has a word that has a T with an H after it? Who has a word that has a T with an R after it? Another similar activity can be used to sort sounds. On 3 large pieces of paper or cardboard, write the numbers 1, 2, and 3. Place them on the floor. As you say 1, 2, and 3 syllable words, have your students listen carefully and then stand on the number that represents the number of sounds they hear. For example, if you say the word duck, they would stand on the 1. If you say telephone, they would stand on the 3. This activity can be done anytime as a sponge activity while you are waiting for recess or before you go home. As I said before, phonemic awareness is reinforced through oral wordplay, so you can make up any number of activities that help students become aware of the sounds that words make.